Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Evolving Consciousness. If you clicked on this video thinking that we are going to talk about the movie Jawan or we are going to glorify the life and works of Shah Rukh Khan, I'm sorry to disappoint you. We are going to mention Shah Rukh in glimpses, but the crux of this video is about what it means to cultivate the king mindset. The king, whenever we hear this word called king, most of us get flashy images of CEOs or political leaders who have established their prowess. But today's video is not going to talk about any of these elements. Today's video is less to do with the throne or the achievements one has achieved in his life and more to do with deconstructing the mindset of kings. The mindset of true kings. I always subscribe to this school of thought which believes that anyone can be a king. If you have been viewing my channel for some time, there is a couple of videos which talks about the concept of the leader who had no title. I had made 3 videos on that subject where I drew inspiration from the work of Robin Sharma, and we talked about this underlying concept as what it means to be a leader without a title. Now in this video, we will understand what it means to be a true king and what really is about building this king mindset. Some of us might think that these mindset, these talks on thoughts and these things, they are not practical. But if you closely observe, thoughts are our reality. Our experience of life, no matter in what walk of life you belong to, no matter what situation you're going through in your life, thoughts can either kill you or thoughts can give you new life. Thoughts are that powerful. But we often tend to overlook the power of thoughts. Hence, it's very important to understand the gravity of these thoughts. Understand the importance of how impactful having the right thoughts and having the not so right thoughts can create in our life. Coming back to the focus of this video, what does it mean to be a king? As we have an image in our mind, a king is someone who is getting a throne, he commands people, he delegates work. But what goes within a king? What makes a king? We probably have never thought it from that standpoint. If you look at any king, how did he become a king? Now, we are not talking about the ancient times where they were generationally gifted the throne, but we are talking about rising to a position, rising to kingly capability, kingly acumen through merit. Now, coming to the qualities of what it makes to become a king. The first quality, and I would like to reference this from our Vedic culture. I am someone who is deeply proud of our Sanatana Dharma because there are so many things to decode in our scriptures and it gives us so much more information on different philosophies and thought processes. If you just observe who is considered the king of planets, the king of all the planets in the solar system, as per Sanatana Dharma, is sun, right? But have we tried to understand what it is, what does it mean to be the sun? If you closely observe, the sun is never late. Just imagine if sun one fine day decides to laze around. Sun thinks that it's a Sunday, let me get up late, let me rise late. Can you even imagine the state of life in planet Earth? No one can. The point I'm trying to drive through this corollary or through this narrative is the importance of discipline. Because oftentimes we take discipline for granted. We feel that it's okay to laze around, it's okay to couch. But one thing we fail to acknowledge is if someone wants to be a king or aspires to be a king, he needs to have a certain discipline in his life. No matter what kind of king he wants to become. Now, one thing to note here is that the kingly status or the eventual outcome doesn't really matter. Because what really matters is what the mindset you embody. Because whether you get that kingly stated or the throne depends on n number of factors. The focus is not on the outside things, the focus is essentially on the inside. Because we are always focused on the things which we can influence, the things which we have freedom to control. And that freedom to control is always our own thoughts. What happens in the world and what will be your eventual outcome or result depends on n number of factors. But our job here is to see how we can create that result. Now, when I brought about this example of sun, you might be thinking, how is that relevant? The sun is never late. If the sun becomes late by, let's say, the sun decides to get up 2 hours late on a Sunday, what do you think will happen on planet Earth? Sun is supposed to be the source of all life. The point is, oftentimes we all undermine the power of discipline. But if you look at any great person in his field or in his domain, we will always see that they are all bound by this attribute called discipline. There's a beautiful quote by Kahlil Gibran which aptly fits in this context. He says, the lust for bodily comfort murders the passion of the soul. Now, this quote is so deep and it can be interpreted in so many different ways. But I like to interpret it in a way when he says the lust for bodily comfort. Most of us want to be in that safe zone. We don't want to stretch. As simple as it may sound, how many of us are disciplined enough to get up in the morning and spend some time in exercising the body, unless it's not too late, unless we get a warning call from the doctor that we have a serious physical ailment, and if you don't cater to it, the quality of your life is going to be severely hampered. Now, this might seem a very small and a lame example, but this is what makes a king different. The king is never late. The king never compromises on his values and principles. The sun is never late. And if you look at any great leader, let it be Narendra Modi or in the corporate world, Bill Gates, and all the great people, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, they are all early risers. Now, this is not a video to educate on the importance of early rising. Sure, it has tons of benefits, and all these benefits are backed by groundbreaking scientific research. But the point I'm trying to drive here is having a groundbreaking sense, a sense of discipline is absolutely instrumental for anyone even trying to do something in his life. Forget about being a king, even if he wants to accomplish a small goals. Now, the bigger the goal, the more discipline one needs to embody. Now, this is the remarkable quality of all people who have reached to kingly status in their respective domains. Now, the second quality, again, I'll go back to the sun because I find it so fascinating that there are so many parallels which we can take inspiration from the planet sun. Now, coming to another quality. The sun burns itself so that it can provide light to the entire cosmos, so that it can provide gravitation to the entire planets. All the planets revolve around the sun. Sun provides light to the entire world and to many other planets. So what does this indicate, or what does this signify a portrait? The king, a true king, burns himself so that he can produce masterpiece content, so that he can be of service to the world. A true king is not about what he can get from the world. A true king thinks what he can give to the world. Lately, I saw an interview of SRK and Aapki Adalat. It was sort of shoot. The broadcast of that happened a couple of weeks back, and he said something so intuitive and so deep. He said that all the success he has deserved in his life, the reason he works so hard, everybody thinks that he's extremely ambitious, he is all about ambition, competitive. But he says that, contrary to popular opinion, I'm none of those. He says that God and universe has blessed me with so much that I feel that I am not good enough. And that is impetus for me to work even harder in the next move. We all know such a colossal success SRK is, and his recent movie is breaking all records. If you have not watched this recent movie, Jawan, I highly recommend you to watch it. He is at his versatile best. I personally found it very entertaining. It has all elements of a typical entertaining movie. And the success is well received by the whole world is applauding his work. The point I'm trying to drive in the second point, he could have thought that I have achieved everything in life, let me just laze around and couch. But he says that I always feel a lack within me. Some of us, even if we don't deserve the things which we got, we feel so proud and flamboyant, saying that I deserved it. But SRK says, even though he has every reason in the world to believe that he deserves all the success, he says, I don't deserve so much success and love I get. So in order to compensate that feeling of lack, he works even harder to deliver a more entertaining masterpiece. Let's talk about Narendra Modi. Everyone knows about his journey from rags to riches, and everybody knows how much of a taskmaster he is, how much of hard-working individual he is. Even his opponents and harshest critics admit to the fact that there is no one as hardworking as Mr. Narendra Modi. The point I'm trying to drive here is the importance of cutting down those instant sensory gratification so that you can work harder for a larger purpose. A purpose which is beyond you. A purpose which is not about seeking appreciation or appeasement. But when you operate through this mindset of how you can contribute, what value can you add in the world through your work, that is how a king operates. Now, some of you might be thinking, I'm not in a kingly status like Mr. Narendra Modi or SRK. I work in a normal corporate 9-to-5 job. But even then, if you look at the whole mindset, if you look at the whole thought process of this philosophy called leading without a title, there Mr. Robin Sharma states it very clearly. You might be a street sweeper, you might be a bathroom janitor. What really matters is your intent of producing Picasso level work. And in the process of producing Picasso level work, there's bound to be some discomfort. And that's where Khalil Gibran says, the lust for the bodily comfort. When he says lust for the bodily comfort, it can mean so many different ways. And to deconstruct that, every time you feel lured to do something, to indulge in something which is taking you away from your goal, and you overcome that, that is a short win which is registered in your subconscious. And every small wins, one fine day, will result in a tsunami of success. There is nothing called as an overnight success in the world. This concept of overnight success is a complete scam concept. Because anyone who has achieved success, which is stationary, which is going to last for eternity, he has built it over a period of time. There are no shortcuts. Now, all these things is something which we have already heard of. But it is very important to keep reiterating these concepts and this understanding of a king, wherein we feel that a king is a person who gives orders. But a king, a true king, is a person who operates to this mindset of how I can give, what can I give, how can I contribute, versus what can I get from this. A person who is destined for mediocrity, he always says, how can I benefit? What is in it for me? Whereas the person who is going to be a king will always operate with this mindset of service. How can I provide value? Now, this concept can be extrapolated not only to the field of career, it can be extrapolated to so many different domains. The point is very simple. When we talk about king, we are not referring to a throne or a position. We are referring to a certain mindset. A mindset which thinks about contribution. There's a beautiful quote by Woodrow Wilson. He says, "There's no higher religion than human service. To work for the common good is the greatest creed." Now, this is not about philanthropy or philosophy. This is about cultivating this mindset of larger good. SRK in his interviews also said that the biggest service he provides to humanity is his films. And probably you don't know that he doesn't charge anything for his movies. This is something which I was not aware of, but whatever he is doing in the movies as an actor, he doesn't charge any amount for that. The only income he gets is through his endorsements. Now, the reason I respect him is not because of his acting skills or because of his rise to fame, but because of the character of the person. He deserves every bit of it, but he still feels that there's a certain lack and he needs to compensate for it. Some of us, even if we don't deserve the things we get, we take it for granted, thinking that we deserved it, that's why we got it. But a king always thinks how we can burn himself or how he can sacrifice those little pleasures so that he can contribute to the greater good. Hope this message, the king mindset, really made a lot of sense to you. Because there are not a lot of things to cultivate this king mindset. The very meaning of a king is so misconstrued in our minds. For us, a king means someone who is ordering, someone who is dictating what needs to be done. But anyone can be a king. Anyone from any walk of life can be a king. A king is all about how we can serve the world. Now, the reason why sun is respected so much in our eternal culture, in our Sanatan Sanskriti, is because it is the source of life. And sun actually is never biased. A true king is never biased. He doesn't say that I will shower my light on the person who is meritorious by deeds and actions, and someone who is a sinful being, I will not give light to him. He's equal. This is also a remarkable quality of a true king. A king also showers light to his critics, to his so-called enemies. Hope my today's video brought a fresh sense of clarity within you to view this word king, and hopefully I could provide some understanding of this king mentality. Because this mentality of a king benefits the person as well as those around him. Because the king is always thinking about how he can contribute. Because oftentimes we are so obsessed with what we can get, what we can fetch, that even the relationship we have with God has become so transactional. We are always in the mode that the very reason we do any kind of spiritual practice is so that we benefit in the material world. But actually, those practices were meant to churn our own consciousness, but not to manifest anything material. But we had a misconstrued understanding of it. This is a very interesting point, that all the relationships, or majority of the relationships which every human being has in this world, is conditional, whether you like it or not. There's one relationship, the relationship with God, which can be unconditional. Let us not try to make it even impure. Let us not make that one relationship which has the potential of being unconditional. Don't make it conditional by creating this thought as to what am I getting by doing these things. I hope my today's video brought a lot of sense to you. If you really enjoyed the video, don't forget to share this video, because the more you share your content, you're not only helping those people, but you're also allowing the knowledge to sink into your own consciousness, because we all are a work in progress. And this kind of content really requires contemplation. Thank you so much, and do give me your candid feedbacks as to what you thought about this video. Also, try to subscribe to this channel if you are enjoying the videos. If you enjoyed the videos, do subscribe to my channel, and I'll meet you in the next video. Bye.